So good morning, everybody. What a great conference this has been. So many interesting presentations so far. And now there's me. And I'm going to be talking about the Digital Capability Survey. And I think, oh, this is quite dry, but hopefully it will be of some interest. So I'm Gillian Fielding. I'm an associate lecturer at Salford University. I also lead the UCISA Digital Capability Survey report. Can I just have a show of hands to see how many people were involved with the survey? I didn't even touch it. How many people were involved with the survey at their institution? Thank you. I know it took a long time to fill in. I thank you very much for filling it in and hope it was useful for you. These are the people who have been involved with the survey. There are a number of faces you will recognise from today and from what Ian showed yesterday with the Digital Capabilities group, but this isn't on timing, this is weird. We have a sub-section of that group who are involved with the survey, and we pulled in some people. You will recognise Helen Beetham and probably recognise Alistair McNaught from JISC. You probably won't recognise this rather shaded picture of Nick Smith, who does all the statistics work. He's a statistician. So those are the people that are involved with the survey. So what I'm going to talk about is the background to the survey and give you a quick overview. I think it's currently 167 pages, so you'll be relieved that I won't be able to cover it all today. But what I'm going to do is, we've got 22 recommendations in there, so I'm going to outline those. I'm not going to go through the detail behind that, but I'll give you a quick overview of the structure. I thought that that those recommendations might be helpful takeaways for you to use in your institutions if you're trying to get more buy-in across your institutions. So it's a very high-level presentation, but that's my hope, that you'll get something appealing. What I have done is I've set up a Padlet page, and I'd be really grateful of any feedback, perhaps on the Padlet or via Twitter or coffee, lunch, whatever. Your thoughts and opinions on this really matter to us, so I'd be glad of those. So we've already seen the Digital Capabilities Group, but I just thought I should mention all those guys are volunteers. We do this in our spare time. And why do we do it? We're not politicians. Notice I picked women there. But we have a passion about this, we have an interest about this, and we were talking yesterday in one of the sessions about the science and technology paper, was it? And that didn't give any direction. If you've not seen this document, this gives direction from the House of Lords across all the sectors, HE included, but it's got some very strong wording. I was dead impressed with some of the wording. It's got some gaps about what we should be doing, but it's, look at the headline, it's like something out of the Sun. But this is from the House of Lords, and it's like, if Britain doesn't get a grip with digital, if we don't start to embrace it and use it, we're going to fall behind as a country. And with the current political situation and Brexit and so on, we've got some challenges. Again, Martha Lane Fox said the same thing in her. If you've not seen that Richard Dimbleby lecture, watch it and encourage others to watch it in your institution. It's a real passionate presentation for driving digital. The reasons why we do it is we've seen, lots of examples. You're all early adopters. You all get the agenda, but we've seen all that with the presentations that we've had here. We've seen it in ones in our own institutions. The DigiBudge yesterday, the student nurses that Fiona was talking about. We see those models of good practice. I was involved with one 5 years ago, a huge institutional change project that was driven by a software upgrade, the VLE upgrade. Weird. This is weird. Where we brought in e-learning, e-submission, e-marking and e-feedback, and it was driven from the top by a proactive Pro-Vice-Chancellor, brought in all stakeholders, users, academics, people, friends, whatever we want to call them, brought in a lot of people around good project management principles, and it made a massive difference. It was singularly the best project I have ever worked on. It made such a difference to the institution. Me and some of my team were going in Saturdays and Sundays working on it. Sad, I know, but we were really passionate about it, and it made a really big difference. And there were some reluctant people who didn't want to engage. But they were the ones who complained the following year. What are we doing this year? What new change have you got for us? Now I've seen these technologies in place and what a difference they can make to our students. Then what are you doing now? We want to do more of it. So I think there is an argument for bringing in projects right across institutions that bring baseline standards and maybe desirable standards, and then the next level. It's sort of like whatever fits in your institution to bring about change management. So this is a really nice example. Tim Rose is here. I don't know whether you were involved with this project. Tim, no? No, I wasn't actually. Right, okay. This is a do you? Yeah. This was a really good project from a college at Abingdon and Whitney where students went out to their motive was to get employability skills from local SMEs, local small business owners. The small business owners were being shown how to do video conferencing by the students. So the SMEs were seeing ways that technology could be more efficient for them and being shown how to use that technology. The students were getting employability skills. So they did interviews via web conferencing. But obviously the confidence of those students really grew. So it was a really nice project. And there were loads of these. We've seen lots. So we're really passionate about it. We really beat the drum about digital capabilities, and I think that's safe to say why we do this. Tried to find a picture of digital future, what a digital future looks like. Yeah, I picked up on Laurie's, you can't do that. And just to give credit to all the images, they're not credited individually because they're all Creative Commons from two really good websites, Unsplash and Pixabay. So, the survey itself, this is a second survey. It's launched today. This is the first day it's been publicly available. So it's on the UCISA website at ucisa.ac.uk/digital capabilities. You'll have to just look under the menu for Digital Capabilities Report 2017. It was inspired by the TEL Survey, which has now been going for, I think, 13 years, something like that. But what we recognised is that the TEL Survey, we use, like, our backgrounds were in IT training, and we're responsible for the whole organisation, so professional services staff, people as well. But what we recognised, there was a gap in some of the TEL activity. It was concentrating on teaching and learning, so looking at VLEs, looking at podcasts, looking at video, and so on. But we recognised, it didn't recognise that fundamental skill of file management, which I think it was you, Julie, said yesterday in your presentation that you're still having to teach file management. So I didn't expect to hear that yesterday, but it's still there, it's still an issue. So with our report, we tried to complement the TEL survey by looking at the underpinning IT skills, the professional services staff, and tried to steer away from teaching and learning. So look at the business skills that academics need. Like the TEL survey, we tried to identify sector trends and developments. It's about, I put biennial inverted commas because we actually did the last one in 2014, and that's, if those of you mathematicians amongst you, it doesn't take much to work out, that's actually 3 years. But we've held it back a year. So the TEL survey will go out 1 year, the digital capability the next, so we're leapfrogging years. So it will be biennial. You know, you can benchmark yourselves. For those of you that have filled it in your organisations, if you haven't got, if you're not the person who filled it in and haven't got your copy of your submission, you can get it from the UCISA office. You can ask for that back, and then you can compare yourselves across what everybody else has said in the sector. That may be useful for you to do that, to say, look, we're falling behind, look at these other institutions, and so on. It is across universities. It isn't, we didn't invite any colleges to fill it in this time. We didn't feel that there was enough relevant, we felt we need a separate one really, that the questions would be different. So it is across universities only. So I've had to screenshot the survey because I came in here last night and spent an hour trying to get the setup, and it was a bit too hard, basically. So that's what it looks like, the online version. As I say, if you go to ucisa.ac.uk/digcap, you'll find the 2014 one there, the 2017 one there. What we've done this time is, like, if you looked at it last time, it was just one whopping great big PDF. This time, we've launched it as a web-based version. We will be doing the PDF, but that'll probably be 2 or 3 weeks away. but this is a web-based version. It means that you can go just to each subsection of the document. Okay, so we had 159 universities were invited to complete the survey, slightly more than in 2014. We invited all our UCISA members that we have, well, we have contact details for all them, so we invited all them. We also invited non-UCISA members. I have to say, not as proactively, but they were very welcome to fill it in. We tweeted it. We didn't email them directly like we did with our own UCISA members. And before we sent the survey out, we did some groundwork to find the person responsible for digital capabilities within the organisation. That was a challenge. We knew it would be, but what we wanted is somebody within the organisation to consult with the other people within the organisation, ideally, to fill the survey in. So we got 68 returns, which is amazing. Those of you that filled it in, well, no, it's not a small survey. It was interesting that somebody commented on Julie's staff digital capability survey yesterday going, that's big, and I thought, oh, I bet they've not seen the survey for digital capabilities that we do, because that's huge in comparison. We did have a small number that started but didn't complete it, but it was only like 2 or 3. And we had 68 that we tallied into the results. Before we sent it out, we consulted, and that's a large part of our ethos, is to consult with yourselves and other organisations to try and bring something that's sector-wide, that's useful to the sector, that we can work, instead of in silos, try and work together. And you'll see this as I go through the recommendations, that there are we're suggesting that some bodies work together. So those 12 organisations listed, we've got direct contacts in there that give us feedback on the survey. Before we send it out, we ask them for what they liked last time, what was useful, what wasn't useful, what they'd like in the next one. And as we've gone through the whole process, they've given us feedback on the survey itself. Where it says you and your institutions, we sent a questionnaire out, and we also did a webinar to find out from people what was useful. You'll see NUS at the bottom. I struggled to get through to the NUS. I struggled to get a response, but I think I've now got a contact, and I feel optimistic that next time we'll have some NUS people input into the survey. It has 6 sections, which you can see there: contact, strategy, delivery, implementation, practice, very tactical stuff, operational stuff. Accessibility for all. We changed that this time from, I think last time, it was called Bring Your Own. It included accessibility, but we felt we needed to change it because Bring Your Own wasn't quite as important and could be included under accessibility, and that's been a massive issue for the sector this last year with the removal of the DSA funding. And then looking to the future and concluding remarks. So those 22 recommendations come from across those different sections. What it will look like, the outputs, I've already mentioned the PDF version, which is in italics, so that's yet to come. The exec summary, I think I'll be doing that this weekend, yet to come. But the web version, and I've done a bit live for it as well. Mentioned it's got, we will be presenting at various conferences about it, and we already have done a little bit. We've just given people tasters because we wanted to save like all of it for and the launch for here. But with these conferences, we're very much tailoring it to that market, so we've got to sort of rewrite the presentation and rework it each time. So obviously at Lilac, it's a librarians conference. We very much focused on that. We're looking to do the estates conference, so we'll be looking at pulling out relevant bits for the estates people to raise awareness of digital capabilities there. HR conference, not listed there, but similarly, you get the gist. We have the digital capabilities community where we want to discuss it there. That's a forum that we can discuss that, and we've got the hashtag. And we're also looking at writing a series of targeted outputs for specific audiences. And I'll say this here because I'll throw this out that, you know, if you're involved with a particular thing like libraries or estates, we'd really like to work with you to look at how we can tailor maybe an infographic, maybe a short document that will be useful and targeted at that specific audience. So if you're feeling like you want to get involved, let us know. Also this time as well, we put some suggestions in there for further research at the end. Maybe you're doing a master's, maybe you've been interested in doing some research, PhD. We've got 16 different suggestions in there, and we could probably pull more out, but they are very specific points that we would like to investigate further. One that just springs to mind off the top of my head was something like 84% of institutions said their VLE was accessible. Not quite sure of that. 84%? Really? I'm not too sure. So there were things like that. We want to do some more digging around. So we're interested in working with you on that. So, okay, first section, defining digital capabilities. To give you just a flavour of what the structure is, we have a question to begin with. So what does your institution, to begin with, does your institution or any parts of it use the GIST definition? And you know the definition already, we've seen that. And we found this time that 38% use that definition across their institution, 40% use it in part of the institution, and 22% said no. What we're aware of, this is coming back from people that may have filled it in by themselves, they may have consulted widely across the sector. Hard to tell, but there's an opportunity for some more research there. But and schools, they were saying things like it's not necessarily consistently used in schools. What we did see, with each question, we've done a cross-sectoral analysis, so we've looked at post-92s, pre-92s. We found the Russell groups, I think it was 92% said either yes or yes in parts, or yes whole or yes in parts. That was a bit of a surprise for us, but that's what the research came back with. So the recommendation here is that GISC and UCISA work together to review and update that definition, check that it's still valid for the sector. We want to make sure that if we've got a definition that we're using, that it's right for across the sector. It's obviously very helpful if we've got a standard that we all work to and then we can benchmark with. The second recommendation in that first section was that that definition be further promoted. In the 2014 survey, we just asked people what they use. We didn't ask them if they used the GIST one, so we couldn't compare whether that had improved or increased from this time to last time. But we did feel that we should, when we've got that common definition, that we should further promote it. So in the strategy section, we looked at what external drivers people feel impacts digital capabilities. So things like student experience, all the sort of buzzwords that Laurie was speaking about before, employability, disability. What are those factors that make a difference? And what we've seen this time is that TEF has made a big difference and accessibility has made a big difference in driving digital capabilities. We looked at what external reports and documents are useful to people, what strategies, as I mentioned, TEF, where digital capability sits within an institution and what approach institutions have, whether it's top-down, side-to-side, bottom-up. Across there. Right, thanks for putting your hand up. That's the question. I've got my sheet that says 5 minutes. Oh, right, okay. So just to go through the recommendations now in earnest, then we wanted to find better, we suggest that institutions find better ways of evidencing student achievements. So it could be building on here. It's not got widespread use. But that is a possibility that people can use to evidence students' digital capabilities and match those with employer needs and expectations. The employability agenda is really large. So the second one is that institutions place more emphasis on digital capabilities. We're marketing courses to students. Show that the student is not only going to be a subject specialist, but they're going to be digitally capable when they leave that institution, that one, of course, will make them more employable. And also that we need to put emphasis on recruiting staff with digital capabilities. We suggested that the resources available should be promoted and better reflect the factors that drive the development of digital capabilities. we were surprised there's not as much use in the findings as we anticipated. There's a fantastic resources that are there, and we have got a lot of them linked in the survey. The GIST resources on the digital capability organisation, the benchmarking tools. So if you've not seen those, have a look at those. GIST launched the digital capability organisation, so in the community, which there's a leaflet in reception about. They launched that only about 2 or 3 weeks ago. Just a quick snap on tech, 35% have taken action that is improving digital capabilities as a result of TEF. So that has been a big driver. Oops, and these are the sorts of things that they've done. TEF is at the heart of the strategy, particular education, groups established, looking at analytics and interventions. I'm not going to read all these because I'm conscious we've only got 4 minutes, and I'll just flash up the Padlet and giving us some feedback. In terms of delivery and implementation, one of the recommendations is that we work together with many of those organisations to work together to develop an enhanced and unified approach to training, possibly including a digital capability framework. I was in Julie's session yesterday where I saw that. I know Fiona's done work on digital capability frameworks. There isn't a national framework. The European one, the Digicomp one, is huge. Is there a national framework? Yeah, I didn't think there was. I thought, yeah, there isn't a national one. But what do people need? I'm getting the feeling it will be really useful to people to have that. We mentioned about here, use that to develop digital capabilities. I'm conscious this is the weirdest deadline that we've got for 11 o'clock. So we use here to record and recognise student attainment, to assess their digital capabilities and share that across the sector. With the researchers that we work with, the VITA research framework to develop digital capabilities there of postgraduates. That was the first time postgraduates were mentioned. They weren't mentioned last year. Number 9 was that we look at the barriers to and look at assessing students on entry of where their digital capability skills are. Julie, what time is it? We've got 1 minute. Right, I am not going to get through all these by 11 o'clock. So I will share the slides and then you can look at that. But you get the feel there's all these recommendations in the... it's 11. Right, okay, we're going to stop and we'll come back. So we've now got 1 minute silence for the victims of Manchester. Yeah. Okay, I will just return to, thank you for that, the last one, the last recommendation, which is probably the most powerful, in that we're encouraging senior management to look at, there's a lot of barriers identified in the survey, whether it's time, money, and we're encouraging institutions, the senior leadership, to look at that and to see whether that is really a barrier in there and to fully drive and proactively engage with the digital agenda. So that's probably one of the most powerful ones. Thank you. I will share these slides so you can look at the rest, but I'd encourage you to look at the research as well.
Thank you very much, Gillian.